you are probably familiar with the story of Adam and Eve in the garden. As a result of the fall of man, we as the children of light are to cover ourselves. Genesis chapter 2, the Most High, we've seen that he made the animals, he divided the waters, he divided the light from the darkness, and he is now about to rest. It says, thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all of his work which he had made. He blessed it, and he sanctified it. Then it further goes on to explain the generations of the heaven and the earth. It says, and every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, for the Lord had not caused it to rain upon the earth, that there was not a man to till the ground. The herbs and the plant of the field was already created. It was already set forth in the heavens, but the Most High couldn't bring it down on earth until he had created man. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostril the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, and the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge, good and evil. He begins to explain to Adam, he's given Adam some instructions as to how to take care of this garden. And the Lord God took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. He was supposed to maintain the fruits and the produce that are grown there. He's supposed to do the necessary cultivations, weed out the unnecessary weeds. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die. Majority of us in the Western world, we have this notion that we feel that the women have been so suppressed for centuries that it is important that we give women voices where they can be heard and give them a position in society among men. But don't get me wrong, right? I am not in a disagreement with women having voices. But the downfall that comes with that, women try to compete with men, and they compete in a way that, well, if a guy can do that, therefore I can do it, and I can do it better. I personally don't think that should be something that women should strive to do, as in women shouldn't be striving to compete with men, or they shouldn't be striving to compete with women at all. They should strive to be the best versions of themselves. So therefore, anything that's operating outside of them, regardless of their position in society, there is no competition. But that's not how we see it. And so from that, a whole feminist movement have been birthed, created a lot of toxic femininity. I say all that to say this: the woman was not created first. She was taken out of the rib of man, and she was created to be his helpmeet. That is his support. Okay? She wasn't created to lead him, but she created to support him in his leadership. And there's a reason for that. And through the fall of Adam and Eve comes this reality that we see today. In the garden, the serpent did not pursue Adam. And what's the reason for that? He did not pursue Adam because Adam would have been a bit more of a challenge for him. He pursued the weaker vessel. Yes, women are indeed a weaker vessel. That doesn't mean that she's less of importance, and it doesn't mean that she is physically weak, because we are the mother of creation. So of course, we are far from weak. The weaker vessel in terms of her emotion, the characteristics that make her a woman, that makes her feminine. She's much more softer. She's much more accepting. She's much more understanding. She's much more open. She's much more receptive than the man. And so this is why the serpent approached the woman. She was an easier prey. See this in society all the time. Women are often taken advantage of. And no, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with a woman being softer and more emotional. The serpent said unto the woman, I know you heard what God said, but I'm telling you that if you eat of that fruit, you will not die. And for God doth know that in the day that ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So he's saying you will not die. However, the scales of innocence will be removed from your eyes, and you will know what is good and what is evil, and you will make that choice yourself. He's presenting with Adam and Eve the opportunity to be wicked, or to operate in the state of purity which God commanded them to do. The woman was curious. She allowed the snake to beguile her, and she did eat of the fruit, and she shared that fruit with Adam, and they both became naked. That nakedness they became conscious to, their eyes are now open. So they've now recognized the sinness and the impurity of being physically exposed and not being clothed, and the things that come with being exposed to a man or being exposed to a woman. Prior to that, it says in Genesis chapter 2 and verse 25, and they were both naked, and man and his wife were not ashamed. What it means that they were not ashamed when the Most High brought Eve unto Adam after creation, and it says, the man shall leave his mother and his father and shall cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. That means they were to procreate. This is the consummation of the marriage now. They were to procreate and reproduce children. And there was nothing sinful in the procreation. It was innocence. It was purity of love and a purity of state. It says they were not ashamed, and they were both naked, but they weren't ashamed of their nakedness. But then when they were beguiled by the serpent and they ate of the tree, they were aware that they were naked, and they were ashamed. And Adam tried to hide himself and cover his shame. And because their nakedness had been revealed, the Most High now says to them that they are to take animal skin to cover themselves. So in Genesis chapter 3 and 21 reads, unto Adam also and unto his wife did the Lord God make coats of skins and clothe them. They became clothed as a result of becoming ashamed and self-aware of their nakedness and what occurs during the uncovering of someone's nakedness. So this was the first instance when we see that nakedness became a sin, and that a man and a woman had to cover up their nakedness, which was their shame. Thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned for the next video.